So I have some exciting news to share. We've made yet another update to the Bevinzey platform and we've introduced the Text Interactor. So now you can unlock the power of your documents with Text Interactor, and this allows you to chat with books, papers, contracts, and more as if they were right beside you, which means you can transform reading into a dynamic conversation and explore your text like never before. This is Dr. Dankwa, and in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make the most of the Text Interactor module in Bevinzey, which is your go-to AI-powered learning platform. And now we are here to help you study faster, smarter, and more efficiently. So first things first, let's dive into the Text Interactor module. And now the way you want to do that is to make sure you're first logged into the Bevinzey platform and then click on services. That will bring you to the AI tools dashboard, and then you can click on Text Interactor. So it's going to pull up this interface, and let me quickly orient you as to how to navigate this particular interface. So there are two ways you can upload your files. You can simply click on choose files and upload it directly from your desktop or external hard drive, or you can upload the files using a link. Now in this tutorial, I'm just going to focus on how you can choose the files directly from your desktop to upload them. And then in subsequent videos, I'm going to show you how to upload the files using the link. And then also, more importantly, what really makes this tool very powerful is how you can upload multiple files at the same time and analyze them at the same time. So I'll be making those videos in the next tutorials. But here, let's focus on how to upload the files. Now, you can upload PDFs, you can upload Word documents, and you can upload text files. So I'm going to upload a PDF document, and the way you want to do that is click on choose files, navigate to where your files are hosted, and then click on the document. So this is a PDF document, click open, and then it should populate. Now once you see this, you want to click on the upload button, and then now that the files are uploaded successfully, you can interact with it dynamically. And so just so you know, when you click on this button, it shows you the history of your chat sessions. Okay, so we're going to go back here and we're going to interact with this document. So just so you know, the document I uploaded is actually one of my really old lecture handouts. So let's say you have 22 slides and you needed to master this handout for your pending exam, or just want to master the content so you become really an expert at the material. So this is the content in here, and you're going to interact with this document in a very dynamic and interactive manner. So first of all, there are 22 pages. So we can say summarize the handout, and then you want to click the arrow right here. So at this point, it's really processing all that information, and it's going to give you a very nice summary. So it clearly states, okay, the handout is by Michael Dankwa, PhD, and it's from this course, and it focuses on parental preparations. It really gives you a very nice summary. So this is high-level summary of the document. So at this point in time, out of those 22 pages or 22 slides, so now out of those 22 slides, you have at least a high-level understanding of what the handout is about. So once you read this, you can orient yourself. Now, let's say we wanted to be more specific and wanted to understand what is going on in the slides. So you were in class and you heard the professor say something about the ideal requirements of parenterals. So we're going to ask, what are the ideal requirements of a parenteral? Now, parenterals are injectables, and these bypass the GI tract. And so that's not important for this tutorial, but just to give you some context. So we're going to ask, what are the ideal requirements of these parenterals? We're going to click the arrow. And so the proprietary algorithm here is going to go through the entire handout and pull out that information. So here, the Text Interactor has actually used the proprietary algorithm to go through the entire handout, and it's pulled out the essential information. So you can focus on this, right? Now, just so we have something to compare with, these are the ideal requirements. So you just listed them here, but then when you go to the response from Bevinzey, you're going to see it's rephrased slightly, but has kept the main point. So in almost a very playful way, but very effective manner, you've actually pulled out that information and you can memorize this. So just as a reminder, as with all the other modules that we have, if you double click on any of these things, it copies it, and then you can paste it on your Word document or Google Docs or wherever you're archiving it if you need that information. But nonetheless, this is going to keep a history of all your interactions in one chat session, and then you can always go back, click on this one, go back, and then you see it here once you started a new session. So that's the first thing. We got a response that we needed. We can memorize this or keep a note of it and come back to it. Now, the other thing we could also ask is, in there, it talked about the routes of administration. So we're going to type, what are the routes, or let's say the various routes of parenteral administration. So that's the response we got from the document. It pulled out the intravenous IV, it pulled out intra-arterial, and so on and so forth. So it clearly was able to find some of the information, and all of that information would have been somewhere in the handout. So it's important to note that this information is directly with the document. It's pulling it directly from the documents because you could do multiple at the same time that you are actually trying to process. Okay, so it's going to help you speed up your processing, or maybe at least get into a deeper level as to what is going on in the document. Now, and so here it gave you the routes of parental administration, and you could use this as an opportunity to quickly memorize all of this. For example, intrasynovial is the route used to administer therapeutic agents into the joint fluid, or you can once again just double click it and then paste it into your note-taking archiving repository. And so what we're going to do is maybe just ask another question. Are there more routes discussed in the handout? And then click on the arrow. Yeah, so basically repeated these routes. But now let's say you wanted to find out what exactly parental administration is. So we can say, according to the handout, what is parenteral administration? So it gives you the definition right here. So parental administration of drugs involves the injection of therapeutic agents in the form of solution, suspension, or emulsions into the body. This method bypasses one of the major barriers of drug entry, which is the skin. So that's directly from the handout. So if you go somewhere here, you basically pick this information and then condensed it or synthesize it in a slightly different manner. So that's a useful way to analyze it. Now, the other thing you could also do is, you notice I didn't talk about intradermal, so you could just quickly ask. So really, these are more or less very quick questions you could ask, but you can actually go more deeper depending on how you're actually preparing for your exam or at what stage you are in understanding the material. This is assuming you're just looking at it for the first time. So here's the handout mentions intradermal, so it confirms that, and then it talks about some of the key things you should know. It gives you the volume, for example, only small volumes around 0.1 ml. So that may be something that you want to keep in mind, and so on and so forth. So that's really impressive right there. Now let's take it up a notch and do a compare and contrast, because compare and contrast is also critical way of analyzing information. So we're going to say compare and contrast the advantages and disadvantages of parenteral in the handout. So within a few seconds, it just gave you the advantages and disadvantages. So now you've organized your processing of the information based on the questions you asked. And the other thing you can also do is actually ask the text interactor to give you questions from the handout itself. Now, granted, we do have a tool that specializes in that kind of a scenario, and it's actually more effective because it's based on Bloom's taxonomy. But here also, you can simply ask it to give you a question or a few questions so that you can have a deeper understanding. And then once you're done, take that same handout, go to the text to questions module, and then it will give you questions that are synthesized or developed based on Bloom's taxonomy and all the other pedagogical information that you need to use when you're setting questions. So let's just say, give me questions and answers. Let's just do that from the handout. So it's all about the material we want to learn from this handout. So at this point, it's going through the entire 22 slides and it's pulling a few questions. So here, the first question, what are parental preparations? You do expect that you should know at least that particular concept if you're reading this introductory slide or handout. Then the next thing talks about what are the ideal requirements. It gives you the answer. What are non-AQS vehicles? So we didn't talk about this, so I didn't ask any questions when we went through the demo session, but rather it was able to provide that as a feedback. So now we can know this and add it to things that we should know. And then we're going to do what are the official types of injection. That's another thing that I didn't ask about, but we should know about. And then what are some examples of injectable suspensions it gave. So this is important to know, but the first four are very pertinent as well. So that's another way you can actually use it. But then if you wanted more targeted questions, what you want to do is simply click on this, go to the text to questions, then upload the file. Well, first of all, you need to choose how many questions. So it just gave us some kind of generic short answer questions there, which are also very important. But you could, let's say you're preparing for a multiple choice, just click on the 10 multiple choice, or you wanted to do fill in the blank, but you can pick your choice. Just do multiple choice, click generate. And so now you have 10 multiple choice questions. And as you can tell, it gave completely different versions and it's more focused. And if you click on the icon right here, it's going to give you the answer at the bottom as well. So if you want more information, you can check the tutorial on how to use the text to questions module. But needless to say, you can also export it as a PDF and so on and so forth. But this is the best place actually for you to upload your content to have more targeted questions. And when you're done with this, you could click generate again. And it's going to give you a whole new set. But let's go back to the Text Interactor module because that's what we are doing right now. And as you can tell, we have the history right here. So if you click on it, it's going to give you this portion. And if you click on this, it's going to give you the entire history. So this is going to stay there and you can actually continue the conversation days later. So let's say you came back after a day, you've read it, you've processed it, and you wanted to remind yourself of some new concepts. You can simply ask another question. So what are the official types of injection? So there it quickly tells you, and all of this once again is directly from the handout. So it's not pulling any extraneous information. It's all focused on what you should know. These are the 5 official types of injections and it pulls them all right here. And you can actually go deeper by asking whatever questions. So right here is almost like a study guide that you have. And these are questions that you ask that you have answers to. And then on the flip side, you can also have the AI ask questions and provide answers, either using this one for some preliminary analysis or using the actual text to questions module, which is really good for that kind of situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start a new session and demonstrate how you can upload not just the PDF, but also a Word document. So this is a Word document. I'm going to click open. Same process. Once it loads, you want to click upload button. Now the file is uploaded successfully and you could ask another set of questions. So this is some portion from a book I'm writing and we're going to just say summarize the document. So that gives you a really nice summary. So the document discusses the stages of memory, encoding, storage, and retrieval, and it goes on and on. So this is really a nice summary of the entire document that is being uploaded, and we can interact with this some more. I'm going to ask, what are the most important points to remember from the document? So it works for PDFs, it works for Word, it works for text documents. And here it gives you very nicely some key takeaways or the most important points. So understanding and applying principles of learning can improve our learning process, making it more effective and enjoyable. So that's one point. And that the science of memory and retention is a crucial part of learning. So it's actually done a really good job giving what it considers are the most important points. And I would agree with the response that it just gave. Now, one of the things that may be helpful from time to time is just when you are entering a new space or a new learning environment topic, you really want to understand what the keywords are. So I'm just going to say, I want you to give me a list of all the keywords I should know from the document. Because those key terms are important. You should know what they are and then what the definitions are of those keywords. That helps you build the vocabulary of the topic you are learning about. So there you go. It gave you all the keywords that it could detect from the document. And I'm going to ask it to give me maybe a short description of some of the keywords. So now give me a short description of some of the important keywords according to the document. I just wanted to focus on the document itself. And all of this is interacting with a Word document. In the previous example, it was with a PDF document. This is a Word document. So it works the same effectively regardless of the document. So they gave a short description. So all of this information is actually, once again, from the document, how the document presents the information. So for encoding, this is the first step in creating a memory. It's a biological phenomenon rooted in senses that begins with perception. This is actually directly from the document. So as you can tell, you could go on and on and on. And just so you know, when you click on this, once again, you have the history. So this time you have the parenteral dosage forms. That's the one we did earlier. So when I clicked on the new chat, it created a new session right here. And this is the one we just did. So you can go back to it and then you can continue later on or whenever you get back to reviewing that content. So lastly, I'm just going to share that you don't need to just upload like 1 or 2 files. You can upload the whole book. And that's what I'm going to do with this one. This is a book from, I think, Google Books. It's almost like 50 something pages. And once it's here, you click upload once again. So now it's uploading the whole book and the file uploaded successfully. And so you can interact with it. Now, just going to show you what the book looks like. So that's how the book actually looks like. This is something in the public domain. It's by Whipple and it's from a really long time ago, but I'm sure the content still is relevant. And I'm just using it for demonstration. So you can see how it looks like. This was properly scanned. And so we're going to see whether the text interactor can actually interact with this PDF that was scanned. So we're going to go back in here. We know it uploaded successfully, but let's see what it's going to look like when you actually interact with it. So we're not going to spend too much time on this one, but I'm just going to say, once again, summarize the book. So that's a whole book once again. So the book provides advice on how to study effectively. We know the title says that. It suggests forming a habit of mentally reviewing every paragraph after reading it. So basically it took the whole book, which is once again about 51 pages, and condensed all of that into a high level summary. But then you can ask more about it. Let's say you wanted to know who the author is. So who wrote the book? Let's see whether I can figure that out. The author of the book is Guy Montrose Whipple. So we did see Whipple at the start of the book, but I didn't quite see what the first name is. So somewhere in the book, it actually figured out who the author is. So maybe picked it from here or some other place. So Guy Montrose Whipple. And then we can go on and interact with the entire book for as long as we wanted to get a sense of what the book is, to master the concepts in there, and to just have a very dynamic and engaging way to master the content. So now really with Bevinzey's Text Interactor, the power of interactive learning literally is at your fingertips. So in the next tutorial, I'm just going to show you how to upload your content using the link instead of directly from your desktop or hard drive. And then I'm also going to illustrate in the subsequent tutorial how you could really maximize this Text Interactor tool by uploading maybe several documents. Let's say we're going to write a research paper. You can upload all your sources, maybe about 10 documents, and then interact to find out what the common themes are and what the differences are. And then you can use that to do your own preparations for exams or even for writing the manuscript. So now with Bevinzey's Text Interactor, the power of interactive learning is literally at your fingertips. And so the goal is that this tool will empower your studies and you can really embrace the future of learning. So I encourage you to dive into Bevinzey's Text Interactor today, and I will see you in the next tutorial.